Hi, everybody. Lisa Lavender here, Chief Operating Officer at the Restoration Technical Institute with Where You Stuck Wednesday. So, we got a great question. I'm super excited to answer it. And it was, can you help me better understand how to manage my team through the pandemic? How do I set rules and how do I get everybody to follow them? So that's a great question, and it's really important nowadays to keep our team safe, keep our customers safe, keep our community safe, and be responsible citizens. We've been doing, and add a lot of new things from the way we move, the way we talk, the way we interact with our team members, our customers, and we have to make what I call precautionary measures. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through some of the key ingredients. I actually made a graphic for this because I'm pretty passionate about us thinking through our day to day operations and our movements and really engaging the team on being part of it because that's key. So, the ingredients are an educated team. I'm going to go back and talk to you a little bit about that. An engaged team. We're going to use risk assessment tools. We're going to follow CDC and other guidelines that may be relevant. And we're going to look at our operations. And when you take all those ingredients at a high level, you can really develop precautionary measures. So let me go back and talk about this a little bit. So when we talk about education, there's a couple key pieces to the education side. One, I really believe it's important. It's all intertwined with engagement and making this part of our day to day is that the team is educated on the virus itself. So that means they understand how to inactivate it, and that's an enveloped virus. So that's a good thing in my mind because it's easily inactivated compared to some of the things even as restorers have dealt with. They need to understand how it spreads. Again, critical. Because once they get a deep understanding, so a lot of this goes back to training. We need to invest in the training. There's webinars, or we can do it in house if a committee or an individual person has the expertise. But everybody needs to feel comfortable that they're moving around in the presence of coronavirus, and as the curve slows and we start moving around more, we may have more potential contacts because more people are moving around. Right now, most restorers are operating and providing emergency and life-sustaining services with very few people out and about. So that's going to change. So we have to really be educated and understand. And then we need to engage the team. So that means part of the education process is allowing them to feel comfortable and confident. And when we engage them, make them part of it, we got to talk to them about a lot. We got to take questions. A couple tips I have. I'm a big proponent of having a safety committee. If you don't already have a safety committee, make one because they're very important pieces in our operations. And if you have a safety committee, consider a subcommittee that specializes in staying up on all the developments, evaluating precautionary measures, help training everybody on how to use them. Because now that we know the virus, if you put in a precautionary measure that involves certain things, you may need to be trained on them. So we want to engage everybody by having that committee because that gives them an outlet. It gives them constant flow of information, and it's a good thing. So somebody needs to run point on this. The next tool is risk assessment, and I really believe in restoration that everybody has to be highly skilled at that. And really, all risk assessment is being able to identify potential risks, and then we want to eliminate those risks or mitigate the risks. And when your team is equipped and trained, and see how this is all kind of gauging, they're going to be engaged in the process, and they're going to be able to contribute. And feel confident in our precautionary measures once they are developed. So I want to start looking and breaking down my movements. When you're meeting a customer, do we need to meet them face to face anymore? Is there proactive communications we can do that lets them know we care, but we're not going to have a face to face meeting? We ask that you go in another room. Can we text them a picture of our team person, member of our team, so they know that what they look like and that they're a nice, happy person, but we're not going to interact? If I have somebody, in another room that's, call it 15 feet away from where I walk in and then where I work, I've mitigated and potentially, I really reduce the risk because I'm not going to be exposed to their respiratory droplets. I can teach my team to clean their way in. So if they're going to touch anything, and this is again if they're not using PPE, even if they are, it's a good precautionary measure. So I'm going to clean my way in. I'm going to, after I use an example, because this actually happened to me at the vet, and I thought it was a great thing. I had an emergency vet appointment for my cat, and who may appear in this video at any moment. And the vet called me. I stayed in my car. They took the cat, called me after examination, debriefed me on his situation and condition on the phone. And when he did that, he was pretty much eliminating the risk of me entering his facility, contaminating it, and us having any kind of communication that was potentially too close. And so those are things we want to be observant of, an actual precautionary measure. But the risk was me walking in there was risk of me contaminating a surface, or coughing or sneezing or any kind of way. A droplet would come on site. Is there a risk somebody touched it and contaminated it? Yes, that's risk assessment. Now, what am I going to do about it? Okay, and then what you're going to do about it becomes those precautionary measures. So we really want to be skilled and understand. And you can see again how this all ties in by understanding the virus, understanding the spread, understanding the behavior. We can start identifying risks and think through it as a team. That goes back to the collaboration element. More we engage everybody, let's talk about this, okay? I think one of the, as our team moves about, one of the things that concerns me most is the stores. And I see the stores, I don't want to make a blanket statement because they're really ramping up precautionary measures and doing a great job. But again, if I do a risk assessment on walking in this store to get a supply, okay, I'm walking in and I may touch a cart. I may not. I may touch an item. So I have risk by having a contact with those things. If there's people, if I get too close, again, my risk, my risk is going up, okay? So I can assess that risk, and then I'm going to be able to develop precautionary measures around it to help keep the team safe, all right? And those are just some examples. And I'm going to go back to specific precautionary measures now. So then we have to look at the CDC other guidelines. So I encourage everybody to check out IICRC's website. IICRC and RIA put together some great guidelines. OSHA put some recommendations out, and the CDC, of course, has them. And so those are some inputs that you can use as a jumping off point to develop your precautionary measures. And then we went and we already started talking about this, the actual movement and our operation. Could be even in your warehouse. Are there places where people congregate? Let's get those taken apart. Is it in the way we deliver our service, the movement, the touch points? Let's look at all those, assess our risk, use our understanding, training, engagement, collaborate, and come up with precautionary measures. And that's where, to get to your setting of the rules, those precautionary measures become your rules. So a precautionary measure in the store we talked about, that's a risk in our day-to-day operations. Understanding what we do, following the guidelines, is we want to maintain social distancing. We always want to be talking about washing our hands and not touching our face, okay? Big thing. And when we talk about those precautionary measures, that we want to keep them in context because things are evolving, and of recommendations, guidelines, and what's coming out. And again, that's where your engagement in the committee by keeping everybody up to date comes in. So the CDC made a recommendation about wearing cotton, double cotton masks, not surgical, because we don't want to take the supplies from the medical. And I'm in the state of Pennsylvania. It was highly encouraged by the state that if we're doing any life-sustaining work and moving around, or anytime we cannot be socially distanced, going to the grocery store or anything else, that we wear these out and about. So, not these, but I'm going to show you something with this, that we wear a cotton mask of some kind, or a mask, but not a medical mask. Measure changed, all right? So we got to take that guideline. It changed a little bit, and those are things we need to be talking about as a team. And so, and we did, and we got to translate it. So what does that mean? It means if you're sitting in your vehicle on the way to emergency by yourself, you don't have to wear your your mask. You're by yourself. The precaution is this isn't giving you respiratory protection. It's actually protecting others from your droplets and their mask. You know, there's a saying, my mask protects you, your mask protects me. Okay. So we want, again, everybody to be engaged, understand what it's doing. We don't want to give anybody false senses of security. They need respirator protection. They should be respiratory protection. They should be wearing their respirator. Okay. So, these things have to be talked about all the time. And so, how do you get them to do it? Once you develop these precautionary measures and make them unique to your company, use all these guidelines, check out the IICRC construction. There's some construction organizations that put some out, and there's lots of great tidbits and ideas. But let your team come up with them. And I really encourage you, this is important, very important. So let's get it in writing. So I encourage you to document and have everybody trained and also sign off on it. And, you know, the reason it's not unlike a lot of training we do, most of us have bloodborne pathogen. That's an annual documented training. It may be a requirement, but we don't necessarily have to wait for it to be a requirement. And part of it is because that makes everybody understand you are responsible for these things because it's for your own good. It's for the good of our customers. It's for the good of the community, and it's the socially conscious and right thing to do. You may have people in your team or know people who go, I'm not worried about it because nothing bad's going to happen to me. I'll get over it. Well, it's not just about us, and we want to make sure everybody understands that in our company because there are some people who think that way. And a lot of us out there who may be watching this right now, if we probably feel pretty confident that we're healthy and, you know, we would overcome it pretty easily if we got it. Some of us may have already had it. We don't even know. But the reality is it's irresponsible because you can hurt other people. So we have to think about that. We can hurt other people that can die from this. And so we want everybody to, first of all, understand what's at stake in following this. It's about protecting each other. It's not, you know, and it's all, everybody's intertwined. So, you know, I do encourage you to put it in writing. But we want to make this a positive, engaged thing. You know, every time we do training at the Restoration Technical Institute, one of the biggest things and takeaways from most of our IICRC classes is the safety elements, because that's a big part of IICRC training. And we end up, a lot of takeaways like, oh, we need to do better with our safety measures. We need to do better with our PPE or whatever it is, okay? We have lots of things going on, lots of PPE in our industry. And the bottom line is we have to make it part of our culture. This is the same thing, but this is, you know, and this is serious stuff. Not unlike a lot of the other stuff we deal with when it's sewage or mold or, you know, all the other things that we come in contact with. But, you know, so the team needs to understand that and be part of it. And, you know, it's like so many things. I wore this on purpose and I kept kind of tugging at it. But we want to lead by example. So how do we get the team? And we want to talk about it. Huddle a lot. Talk about it. Some of it isn't deliberate. Once you have those rules or the precautionary measures in place, it's not deliberate. It's just our natural behaviors. You know, we have a lot of people working remotely. I work remotely some days right now, not all days. So I'll stop in. And the other day I walked in the morning, everyone's getting ready, but there were people close together, and I immediately said, spread it out, and they were very engaged, very responsible, very educated team members. They weren't trying to do something wrong. It was just that natural, not used to it. And the more we all talk about it, and we did it in a positive way, or if I catch myself, I'm getting too close to you, okay? But lead by example, you know, talk about it a lot, huddle with the team, make sure everybody knows this is a serious thing. And really, that's how people will start to follow them. They'll be engaged, educated. The more educated you are, the more you can contribute. So make it a positive thing. Share ideas. Shift, document, huddle frequently. And I'd love to hear your next stuck out there. So please send us your stucks to info@Restoration Technical Institute. And we'll talk about that next week on Where You Stuck Wednesday.